So you might be asking, what exactly is Teams platform? Well, if you think about it, it's really how you're plugging in Microsoft apps like Word or Planner or Forms, even third-party apps such as Poly or Workday or Trello, or even custom apps that you've built within your organization, and you're plugging those into Teams. Perhaps you've co-authored a Word document in a project team channel, or you've transformed a manual business approval process with Power Apps and Power Automate, or even interacted with a bot or an adaptive card, and you're looking at pay and benefits information from ADP, Workday, or the like. So this is how you kind of start to think about Teams as the platform, right? Why should you care? Well, customers who leverage applications in Teams, it increases user adoption by 75%. It really allows you to stay in the flow of your work and not get sidetracked by bouncing around to different applications and searching tirelessly for information. What was I looking for? So that used to happen to me frequently, especially when I get interrupted by people. And getting interrupted is a common norm since we're all at home and you've got kids and dogs and everybody jumping all around. So it'll be amazing if we don't get interrupted by barking dogs today. So going down the list a little bit too, while IT does not need to allow access to many of these applications in Teams, while IT does need to add or does need to allow access to many of these applications in Teams like Poly or Smartsheets, the business justification to request access where needed, it's simplified as your organization is using many of these apps already. So you can kind of remove some of that red tape internally. It's just easier to turn access onto these applications. So let's get into it. I'd like to introduce Lauren and Eric from Poly. Hey, guys.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for having us today.
Yes, thank you so much. Great to talk to everyone.
So I'll drive, and you just tell me when you'd like to advance, okay?
Yeah, awesome. So before we dive in, I'm just going to quickly introduce myself, and I'll let Eric introduce himself as well. So I'm Lauren. I am on the customer success team here at Poly, and we're really excited to show you guys just to think platform itself.
Hey, everyone. I'm Eric from beautiful Seattle, Washington, and I work on our strategic accounts team alongside Lauren very closely. I tend to be the quarterback of people evaluating Poly. So if you have questions about could Poly work for me, or what does licensing model look like, or anything in that realm, I'm happy to discuss that with you here or in a follow-up. Really great to be here.
Awesome. Yeah. So before we kind of dive in on specifics, just as an overview of what Poly is and how we think about Poly here, on the Poly team, is we try to keep Poly as a fun, lightweight, easy way for you to just ask questions and gather feedback from people where they are. I thought, what Travis said is really important, and that you're meeting your employees where they already are and where they're working. That's our whole motto as well. So sending questions, polls, and surveys to your employees through Teams. And so that way you get real-time responses and you can make those data-driven decisions. Next, Travis. Thank you. Yeah, so, because Poly is this lightweight tool and incredibly flexible, we can really answer a variety of use cases for a variety of industries, right? So ranging from enterprise, education, manufacturing, there's just always a way to find Poly be applicable beyond these different kind of sectors as well. Within a company, there's many different use cases for Poly, right? So from sending employee engagement surveys from the HR team to using Poly as a way to run async stand-ups or as an engagement tool within meetings. All of these things answer, different needs from different parts of the organization. And yeah, so in these common Poly use cases, like I was saying, here's 3 kind of core use cases that I see from my customers and that have been really valuable in helping people, get into Teams and be more adopted to the Teams platform, but also just, being more productive in a remote environment or, when you're working in a different location, right? So First one is that daily stand-up. So using Polly to kind of gauge progress on your projects and help you kind of identify blockers early. We have a way to set up this stand-up to go out on a daily cadence so users can tell you what they're working on, if they're blocked in any way, and if they need help. All of that is done through Teams and can help save meeting time and also just kind of keep your teams organized and know where you're at with the project. The second one I have here is that Pulse check-in. This is particularly useful for HR teams. It can be a way to, send out, hey, how are you feeling? Really easy, lightweight way for employees to kind of share their thoughts around their own engagement and happiness, and hopefully identify any potential issues or things that you need to address early on and in an easy way. And the last one I'll say is actually using Polly in meetings, which is one of the use cases that I personally am most excited about. And if you are in the chat, you can actually scroll up and see a poll that we had sent ahead of time, which can be used to keep people engaged in the meetings. I know we've all been in meetings where maybe you kind of start zoning out at a certain point. This can be a really good way to keep people engaged, get their feedback if it's a really large meeting, and then just, use it for that interactivity.
Hey, Lauren, I'm just going to add too, as it relates to this. Hi, everybody. This is Doug Moso, Travis's counterpart here as a customer success manager. A lot of the work that we do with all of you is really help to identify areas where we can enhance the experience in leveraging Teams. Meetings is a key area for that, and using something like Polly as they go into their demo here is a great way to just do that with your end users.
Absolutely. And while I'm sharing, I'll also say as well that, while we're here to help from the Polly team and getting you set up and getting things going, we're also always happy to talk through any specific use cases. So if there's teams that, want to use Polly but aren't sure how to get started, we are more than happy to help with that. So cool. Let me dive into this demo here. Can everybody see my screen okay? Doug, does it look good? Awesome. So first things first, where do you find Polly? It is in the App Store. So if I come to apps here and just search for Polly, we are easy to find because we're the one with the parrot right here. So you can go ahead and install that into your team from that App Store. And we also give you some information here as well if you need that, and the permissions that we need and things like that. So once you install Polly, I'm actually going to go over to one of my teams here. I am in my well-being program team in the general channel. So once you install Polly, one of the things I always tell all users if they're trying to use Polly is to add it as a tab in the top ribbon up here. The great thing about that is it gives you really easy access to any Pollys that you have sent out already. So if you come here, you can see, okay, here's everything that I have sent. I can actually even make this organization wide. And then I can create new things. So if I wanted to create a new Polly, I can open up that modal here. And I can also access my templates, right? So if I click on templates, I can find them here. And this is just kind of a great way to access everything that Polly has to offer. So what I'm going to do for this example is I'm actually going to show you a different way to author as well. And I'm going to set up, let's say, a pre-meeting survey, right? So let's say you're having a town hall meeting and you want to send out a Polly to capture any questions that people might want to ask or answer ahead of time. That way you can be prepared and also maybe pass those questions along to any speakers at the town hall meeting so that they're ready to answer them. So if I click new conversation here, and then I click these three dots, and you can find Polly as an app. I'm going to go ahead and click Polly here. And I'm going to walk through the creation of this one. But what I would suggest doing if this is you is set these surveys up ahead of time as either a template or schedule them in advance. That way you don't even have to worry about it. But just so you see what that creation looks like, I'm going to start here. So I'm sending it into my general channel. I'm just going to ask a single question. I can make this recurring. So let's say you wanted to send this out twice before the town hall meeting. Maybe you make it recurring on a weekly basis and send it out every Friday for the 2 weeks before the meeting, right? So we have a lot of flexibility as far as the frequency of sending. I'm just going to do one time here, and then I can also schedule in advance. So if I wanted to schedule this for a specific day and time, I could do that too. Now, the question that I want to ask is essentially capturing any questions that people want for that town hall meeting, right? So the best way to do that is actually pretty cool as far as what you can do with Polly. So I'm going to say here, what questions do you want asked at the town hall meeting? And maybe I put in a couple of pre-existing questions that we've seen come up before, like, you know, what is our hiring plan for next quarter? Or, you know, let's say, are we going to be remote friendly in 2021, right? So then what I'm going to do, since this is a multiple choice question, Polly also allows you to let users vote on multiple options, but also add their own choices. So if I select that, users can write in their own questions, and then other users can go in and vote on that. So that's kind of a cool trick that we have with Polly here under our multiple choice settings. I am going to choose to show results for this just so that you guys can see that in action. You can also choose not to share results or post them after the Polly closes. And then we also have anonymity settings. So if you want to make it not anonymous, obviously you'd be able to see all of that user information and who said what. Anonymous, we strip all of that out. So really any variation of very private or more transparent you can do here. Great, so I'm going to go ahead and preview this. Sorry, I think my internet might be a little bit slow here. There we go. And so I see this looks good to me. I have the submit vote, the add choice. So I'm going to go ahead and send this out. And it will pop up right here in my general channel as soon as it gets sent. There we go. So if I were a user here, I could vote on this. Yes, I want to know about the hiring plan, but I also want to ask something like, you know, will there be free lunch, right? Maybe not the most interesting one, right? But if I add that, I see that another user has added what is our holiday schedule, so you could vote on that as well. Cool, so I'm going to go ahead and vote on that too, and you can see it here in action. So there's our answers right here shown in the results. And then additionally under Polly, I can come in and access that. So if I wanted to view the results or export them so that I can organize it and send it to leadership, I could do that as well. So that's kind of one example of using Polly in Teams. We also have a pretty robust template library if you ever wanted to think about some of these other use cases as well. Cool. So why don't we send one in the meeting as well? Oh, there it is.
Right on cue. Lauren, I'm going to ask too for those of you that may have questions I did put in the chat, just either throw them in there or feel free to come out off of mute, because we do have a lot of folks that are on the call today that are currently utilizing Polly. They just may not have stood it up in Teams. And I know you're going to show them a little bit about how that works. You've already kind of walked them through and how they can do that. But feel free to come off mute and ask your questions as we go through.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say one thing here on the meetings chat as well. So you guys, it looks like everybody is seeing the poll in the chat. It does also pop up as a window over the meeting as well, so that users are very aware of it and can answer. If you did see an error on that, the reason is that if you're from an outside organization, it may not render in this meeting, but if it's for your internal meetings, that will always work. So if you notice that, that would be the reason.
Lauren, there is a question in the chat. If you're open to addressing that, it does talk about forms versus Polly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Something I'm sure you never hear about.
Yeah. So that's a question we get a lot, right? Why would you use Polly instead of forms? And the answer is, you know, there's use cases for both, right? It's really depending on what you are looking for out of the tool for polling, right? So with forms, obviously that's a really quick, lightweight way to ask questions, super valuable. We have several customers who use both Polly and forms. What we have heard from customers who use both is they go to Polly when they need kind of a more advanced use case, right? So maybe running it for a stand-up Poly has a few more bells and whistles that make that really useful, or using it for a recurring survey. And then we also have some quiz functionality in the meeting chat that's not available on Forms. So just a little more options with Poly, I would say. So really, depending on what you're looking to do, that's where that would come in. Great.
Another question just came in. Can outside org users in Teams, in the Teams channel, can they send surveys through Poly?
So no, unfortunately, it won't work with external users right now. We actually are working with some of the Microsoft team to figure out a way to allow external users to work with Poly. But as of right now, it would really only work with people who are a member of your team.
Yeah, with the one exception to that is, Lauren, I got an update this morning just from the team on using Poly in a meeting. So our new version of the meetings functionality is opening up to guests. They just need to be logged in to a Microsoft account and then participating as a guest, and they should be able to answer Polys but not create them. That is the latest update.
Yeah, and we're always making improvements and adding new features. So yeah, that'll probably in the near future, right? And I'll have a different answer for you.
I'll put you on the spot for a second. It's something that we didn't talk about before, but I'll throw it out there and just see where it lands, I guess, is like roadmap. What are you hearing from customers that they'd like to see that's maybe not there yet, that's coming down the road? Anything that you can share there?
Yeah, totally. So before I do that, I'll just talk to some of the things that just came out, like, awesome. This week and last week. One is that quiz functionality. So when you add Poly to a meeting, now you can actually make that a quiz. So you can choose a correct answer as the author, and then have people, actually answer the quiz in real time, which can be a really cool way to use Poly for trainings or learning and development. So I'm really excited about that. I've been asking for quizzing functionality for a long time. The other thing that we actually just added in is sending Polys via direct message. So it would come as a one-on-one message with the Poly app, which is a really cool feature because especially for things that you want to keep a little more private, so people feel really comfortable answering that in the one-on-one message. And it also, creates kind of that way for people to click on Poly without having to be in the channel to answer the survey, right? So they would get that one-on-one message, they can come back to it, answer it whenever. So that's another really cool thing that we have kind of coming down the roads. In the very near future. I was actually testing it yesterday. And then from there, I believe, things just making the experience better, right? Like adding in the ability to edit existing surveys, potentially integrations down the line. We've heard that, people are interested in an integration with Microsoft Planner. So that's some of the other stuff that we're thinking about. Eric, anything you want to add in on that on roadmap for Teams?
No, there's a few, I guess, usability pieces that we're excited to be adding, especially for meetings and calls. As Lauren mentioned, the quiz functionality was a big one, and then now it's more about tweaking how that information is presented for users, depending on if you're an author versus a participant. So, like, can we give flexibility to pop out the results in a cool dashboard that everyone can see versus having the results on the side panel? Or like, how can we make this the next level? Now that we know we've solved the use case, how can we make it a more enjoyable experience is really where we're headed. So expect to see some of those. They're not like, press release features, but they should make the day-to-day experience so much better. And that makes us really excited on the customer team.
Totally.
We've added some new polls in the chat section as well. But Lauren, I know you.
That's right. Yeah, the pop-ups has come up. So
I think that's great. That's great.
But
yeah.
Except during your demo, so I apologize for having the pop-up come up during your demo. So
no, I think that's awesome. Shows it how it can be really interactive, right? Like, is the demo going?
That's a big for the audience too. Really, like I mentioned earlier, how do we enhance the meetings experience? And many of you may be utilizing Poly, you just haven't integrated into Teams, and we want to today. That's the preface for the Snackable series. But are there other ways that you're helping organizations, Lauren and Eric, really enhance their meetings experience with Poly? I know you addressed with some examples at the beginning, but any other suggestions you may have for this group?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of different angles that you can kind of see with meetings, right? One I kind of touched on a minute ago is the quizzes for trainings, right? So we often have customers come to us from their training department saying, hey, like, we now have to do all of our trainings online. We don't really have a good way to make sure that people are following along with the content. We don't really have a good way to, like, make sure that, the training is effective. So actually using Poly for quizzing during trainings or learnings or things like that is a major win, right? Because it helps keep people engaged in that. And you can also see, like, hey, are people actually following along? What is our security protocol, right? Like if it's a security training or, what is our process for X, Y, and Z. So that's one way that I think it's really valuable. Another that we've heard is, especially in larger meetings, it can be really easy for users not to be able to share their opinions, right? Because, you can't let everybody go off of mute and, come in if it's like a, 20, 30 person meeting. So sending something out that's just gauging how people are feeling about the content can be really valuable, because it helps, in the moment, users kind of understand where they are with the meeting, right? And what kind of sentiment people have about certain things. So like in that town hall example, right? Sending out a poll during the town hall that's like, what do you think about our 2021 roadmap? Right? You can get that feedback, and then you access all of that content later, and you can save those results, export them to a CSV. Really the sky's the limit, and it helps you get those real-time results. So those are kind of the big things I see with meetings. But really the sky's the limit, right? Like we try to keep Poly extremely flexible, so that, if you have a really kind of off the wall use case, you can probably make it work.
Lauren, coincidentally, somebody just put in the chat a question. Can you actually show how you might export results?
Yeah. Let me share my screen again. Cool. So I'm here under my Poly tab, right? And so I am looking at previous results from surveys and polys that I have sent, right? So here's the one from my town hall meeting. The way I would export that is I would actually come here and I can export to a CSV. So I would just click export, that would download the CSV and all of the related data from that poll. It's really easy.
And I see you've got, thanks for sharing that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I see that you've got Poly pinned to the rail on the left as well. When would I use Poly in that situation versus having Poly pinned as a tab in a channel?
Yeah, great question. So this is really valuable for the one-on-one messages. So you can see here is, one of the messages that I have received. So I can come here and actually answer this if I want to. So if you're sending via DM, that's when you would use this. It's also a good place to go if you're just interested in, learning more about Poly. You can access our help section and access us, and also if you wanted another way to access your content, right? So it's, similar to what you see in the top tab, but just another way to kind of get to that.
Awesome.
Yeah. And speaking of help as well, so like I touched on a little bit earlier, if you are interested in rolling out Poly to your team, and let's say, you get it installed, it's there, but maybe users are getting stuck getting started or don't really know like how they want to use it, or maybe they just have basic use cases. The Poly team is more than happy to help kind of, dive in on specific use cases. For example, if your HR team wants to learn how to send pulse surveys or what things you can do with Poly for HR, we're more than happy to do a deep dive session on that. Or if an engineering team wants to use it for stand-ups, we're here for that as well. So really feel free to lean on us, because we are always happy to kind of share and help make sure that Poly is successful in your organization.
Awesome. Doug, I'll turn it back over to you here quick.
I'm actually going to ask you to cover that last slide, Travis, just because right on cue, here is FedEx and my dogs are going absolutely nuts. So I won't make everybody listen to that. So do you mind covering that one for me, Travis?
No problem. Hopefully our dogs won't go in harmony here. So yeah, if you're looking to need more help, as the Poly folks said, Lauren and Eric, they're here to help us as well. So we can certainly reach out directly to those folks. Maybe there's additional use cases that you're trying to spin up or ideate around. So do not hesitate to reach out to either team, Microsoft or Poly. We can get you all together. I did want to make another quick mention that this deck that we're looking at today, the recording of this meeting, it's available at that aka.ms/PlatSnack link. So feel free to grab it. It's open to anybody, so share it with your peers as well if you'd like. Also, please take some time to fill out that survey, PlatSnack survey. This allows us to let us know if you found this valuable, and also let us know what other applications would you like to see next time or at a future session. So without your feedback, we couldn't do this. So we would appreciate hearing from you. That's all we got. So we'll give you 1 minute here. Any last questions before we close out?
And I'll add too, in between parks, but really, again, we're here to help enhance that experience, specifically with Poly, with meetings. We'll be hitting other partners as we go forward. And what we did as we thought through this series is we wanted to get an understanding of what are the top most used apps that you may be leveraging already in your environment, and how do we help you enhance the experience by putting that inside of Teams. So feel free to reach out to us with any other recommendations on how we can bring some of these other third-party partners to the forefront. But we've published a few of the recommendations that we have going forward through the rest of this calendar year and into the first half of next. So we'll look forward to our next one in January.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Thanks, Lauren. Thanks, Eric. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for having us.
Poly team.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.